So a few lone Republicans in Congress have drawn up articles of impeachment for President Joe Biden after he authorized the use of long-range precision-guided missiles into Russia. I can count them on one hand, folks. The number of Republicans who are outraged about this. Senate Republicans are largely indistinguishable from Democrats on Ukraine policy. In the House, they're a bit better, but even still, like, where the hell are the Republicans? Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, has said absolutely nothing about it. After the lame duck president, Joe Biden brings us to an inch away from all-out war with Russia, authorizing Ukraine to use our missiles and our personnel. Think about that. That's the key here. U.S. and NATO servicemen to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. What the hell? That was a signal, a warning to the U.S. and NATO. F around and find out, Joe Biden. Well, like the crazy warmonger he is, Joe Biden called Putin's bluff last week, unloading these ATACMS missiles into Russia, thinking Putin was all talk, wouldn't do anything in response. Well, he just did. And now U.S. servicemen are at risk. Watch.
In the last few minutes, the United States has announced it is closing its embassy in Kiev today and instructing employees there to shelter. That's after receiving what it describes as specific information of a potentially significant air attack.
And now we're paying the price.
Because the goal is not to completely subjugate Afghanistan. The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
One in five adults a later story,
Alan get their news from influencers on social media. The number is even higher among younger Americans, with almost 40% under the age of 30 getting their news from those sources. According to the Pew Research Center, the social media site X remains the most widely accessed platform, followed by Instagram and YouTube.
I mean, that comes obviously for political news. And Mike, that's the challenge. You grew up in a newsroom like Gene grew up in a newsroom. I mean, that's a lot of challenge. That's a challenge for a lot of mainstream media sources is, do they make themselves relevant again to here 20% of adults who actually get influencers on social media?
I don't know
maybe somebody who makes baskets, and while they're making baskets, they look up and say, vote for candidate X.
I don't know how we make ourselves relevant again, because we can't compete with 20-second snippets on an iPhone, walking up the street,
morsels,
getting your entire news digest of the day in less than a minute on your phone as you're walking under the crowd with coffee in one hand and your phone in the other. I don't know how we...
Because the keys depend upon a rational, pragmatic electorate deciding based on governance whether the incumbent party should get 4 more years. And we've seen the explosion of some trends that have existed before, but not to this extent. Disinformation. You know, Elon Musk is, I don't know how many hundreds of billions he has. He has been the director of misinformation. 2 billion views of his spreading of disinformation, not just about the economy, but about immigrants, about minorities. We've never seen disinformation at this scale. Next, we have never seen to this scale the agitation of 3 trends that have been very deeply embedded in American history. Misogyny,
followers,
racism,
comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me. So it with your personal attacks.
Come find out again.
Make whatever point you want. Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want,
the voters.
But I'm not going to stand for...
Look, we could get into this discussion, but one, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Litchman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
Couldn't
not
find
right,
him
and
before
I
the
was
election.
not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You want to make your point,
live
make your
in
point.
a total
Don't make it
world
personal.
of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trash.
Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierce. You're so right. We're so unified right now.
Make any point you want.
So
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy
your
against you? Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once?
Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for personal
brother, you got it wrong.
You
were preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
Can I just say, it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
We're just one right now.
Hey.
So you think, and you had predicted, that's what we read, that you had predicted Biden was going to beat Trump. You think the polls showing that Biden was going to lose?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay.
All right. Stop. You've misrepresented me.
Remember this?
And that really makes me angry.
So
Thinking that
and if you follow this guy at all, because
compiles polls is doing anything scientific. Even his probabilities are made up. They're fabricated. They're not real probabilities, which are based on the law of large numbers. You'd have to have many, many, many elections.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.